Hi, I'm Jim Denison with Denison Forum, and this is the daily article for Monday, May the 3rd, 2021. The title is Church Confirms Drag Queen for Ordination, the Urgency and Power of Personal Morality. A gay man who is also a drag queen was recently confirmed by a Methodist church in Illinois as a candidate for ordained ministry. He wore wigs and full makeup while participating in his church's Drag Sunday in April. Another Hillsong pastor resigned last week after sharing explicit photos on social media. A Southern Baptist pastor in North Carolina resigned after being arrested and charged with child pornography. And Josh Duggar, a former star of the television series 19 Kids and Counting and a very public Christian, appeared in court last Friday after he was arrested and charged with receiving and possessing child pornography. Though he pleaded not guilty, he has confessed to adultery and viewing pornography in the past. My father served in World War II and never attended church again. As a result, I grew up without a church and with all of my father's faith questions. If I had seen these stories before I became a Christian as a teenager, I would have seen them as excellent reasons not to become a Christian. Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone released a letter last Saturday calling for public figures who support abortion to be barred from taking communion. He serves in San Francisco and is thus Archbishop for Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, who is an ardent abortion supporter. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is likewise considering a document that would advise Catholic politicians who support abortion not to receive communion. Here's why this is such an urgent issue for them. Catholic theology teaches that the communion wafer and wine, also known as the Eucharist, when presented by the priest at the altar during Mass, become the body and blood of Christ, a doctrine known as transubstantiation. The church teaches that this sacrament is, quote, the source and summit of the Christian life, end quote, and that, quote, in the blessed Eucharist is contained the whole spiritual good of the church, end quote. The church also teaches that abortion is a, quote, moral evil and, quote, gravely contrary to the moral law. As a result, we would expect the vast majority of American Catholics to agree that public officials who support abortion should not take communion. But we would be wrong. According to a new poll, 87% of Catholic Democrats believe President Biden should be allowed to receive communion, despite his passionate support for the moral evil of abortion. Only 44% of Catholic Republicans agree. In my daily article last Friday, I discussed our society's belief that sexual freedom and so-called authenticity are essential to personal and social flourishing. In this view, the biblical worldview is dangerous to society and must be replaced with a secular vision of the future. As Christians respond to this unprecedented threat to public biblical morality, it is absolutely vital that we demonstrate personal biblical morality. Ethicist Russell Moore is right when he wrote, the problem now is not that people think the church's way of life is too demanding, too morally rigorous, but that they think the church doesn't believe its own moral teachings. He adds these words, we are losing a generation, not because they're secularists, but because they believe we are. That's why you and I need a transforming, intimate, daily relationship with our risen Lord. And it is why our enemy will do all he can to keep us from one. On Monday, Thursday, Jesus warned Simon Peter in Luke 22:31, behold, Satan demanded to have you that he might sift you like wheat. The you is plural in the Greek, referring to all the disciples. Satan wanted to sift them, meaning to shake them so violently that they would fall and fail. Jesus continued in verse 32, but I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. The I is emphatic in the Greek, you is singular, referring to Peter alone. Jesus prayed that Peter's faith, or faithfulness in the Greek, would not fail in the sense of a complete and final denial of his Lord. Jesus knew that Peter would experience a temporary failure, but that God would redeem it. He continued in verse 32, and when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. Following Peter's denial of his Lord, he would repent and he would strengthen the other disciples after their similar failures, as we read in John 21. Peter responded back in Luke 22:33, Lord, I am ready to go with you both to prison and to death. However, the opposite occurred. Jesus said in verse 34, I tell you, Peter, the rooster will not crow this day until you deny 3 times that you know me. And so it was. How can this event help us experience the holiness in our lives we wish to see in the world? First, expect temptation to find you. If Satan would attack your Lord, as we read in Matthew 4, and his lead disciple, as we just saw, he will attack you. 1 Peter 5:8 says that Satan is a roaring lion seeking someone to devour, and that someone includes you and me. Second, pray for help to the one who is praying for you, as Romans 8:34 says. If Peter had been more humble, he would have been more holy. Third, offer others the grace you have received. Peter's post-Easter ministry encourages each of us to be beggars helping beggars find bread. The key to being like Jesus is staying close to Jesus. Oswald Chambers was right when he wrote these words. A great many Christian workers worship their work. The one concern of a worker should be concentration on God. He added, the only responsibility you have is to keep in living, constant touch with God and to see that you allow nothing to hinder your cooperation with Him. Would Jesus say you are in living, constant touch with Him today? If not, why not?